Arleeya, mute the Twitch.
Welcome, folks, to another episode of the Star Citizen Report. And I'm your host, Thamin. You see we're back to 3 windows here. Way over here, we got Memo.
Evening, folks. Thanks for joining us.
All right. And down here, I got Arleeya. All right. Arleeya, how you doing?
Good. Everyone's fine.
Yep. Enjoying the game. Actually got into a little dogfighting this week. All right. So, wonder if first thing we should say, we got the 3 windows here. One of our co-hosts especially is missing for important reasons tonight. Congrats Whoopin' Yo on the new addition to his family.
Yay.
The next generation of gamers has been born. Congrats, Whoop.
Right now he's trying to catch up on sleep that he's not going to get back for the next, dozen years or so.
Easily.
Right. And welcome, folks who's watching us live here. We got a few folks there. All right. So we'll go just as kind of a glance what we have coming up down the line here. The M50 Racer version went on sale. The sale actually ended yesterday, but we got some of the pictures of it. That pushed us into a new stretch goal, so we have that. And there's a few new announcements, a new game mode released, a few freebies that they're giving us for our hangar, so we'll go into that, as well as a lot of the news of around the verse and 10 for the chairman. All right. So one of the big things I wanted to start with was, we had a little criticism on across YouTube on one of our past shows, and yeah, I took it as constructive criticism, and I thought it brings up a good topic. They were questioning, we bring you the news we bring you, but sometimes this person was talking about, well, we talk about the game being raising millions and ships after ships, and talk about everything by the game itself. And he kind of wondered why, by the end of this, people who want space sims would be playing Star Citizen instead of EVE Online, Elite Dangerous, and all these others. So I thought a good open discussion before we get into the other news is, why is it Star Citizen's got our interest? Why is it we must play this game?
Come on, Arleeya. I know you have some comment on this. I just listened to you talk about it for a half an hour before the show started, so come on.
I played EVE for 2 years, and it was work. Okay, I didn't particularly like it. There's a group of people there that are very passionate, and that's all fine, well, and good. Everyone's entitled to their criticism. However, Star Citizen is hard. It's meant to be a game where you just don't push a button and you win. It requires skill. It requires you to know what you're doing. It's immersive. It's almost an insult to our intelligence, some of the games that have come out where it gets dumbed down because of all the whiners and the crybabies. We had them in EVE Online. Oh, I lost my ship. Oh, and all this other nonsense. Or they get upset when something new and exciting comes along that offers some stuff. Star Citizen, Chris Roberts, that team is doing something that's pushing the envelope. And we as players need to go out there. We need to explore and do things. And this game is going to offer that. I don't know about Elite Dangerous, but I remember playing Elite on the PC a long time ago, and this is just a larger version of it. And yes, it looks pretty and everything else. However, it's not going to be what Chris Roberts and his team are working on. There are other games that are going to be coming out that's going to push the envelope and make us have better computers because of it. It's not that we don't have the skill. What we don't have is the intelligence anymore. And people are just being, oh, I push a button and I win, or whatever. It's no longer fun because they don't work together. They don't team together. They've been fed pablum from all these other games so that they have to do everything by themselves. Star Citizen is working together with your wing people, with the crews, going out there and doing stuff. It's not fan person mentality. It's thinking about what is offered for a future. Once long ago, we had a space program, and we had people behind it that worked to go to the moon because it was hard, not because it was easy. And we lost people doing it, real people. This game, there's people that play these games that we lose every day and that we know in every community around the planet has ever played. And we remember those people. Games like this are for them because they had the initiative to say, I want to play this game because it's interesting to me. I think you should take a look at it and see what you think.
I think if I can interject, it reminds me of something that we were discussing, Arleeya, even a long time ago, where you're talking about if you're taking the guild and you're raiding a space station or whatever, it's not like if somebody gets blown up, they can just run back from the res zone either. You lose the ship, insurance gets involved. Where's your other ship parked? Serious consequences.
Well, here's something else. Death of a Spaceman. Most of the games I've always considered the character that I create, an avatar, an extension of myself, though I play girl characters all the time. I like watching them run around. So, I'm a guy, I can't help it. The thing is that a lot of people don't get immersed in these games. They cannot play a character. They couldn't, all they care about is, oh, it's a cartoon. I don't care. I die. I come back. In Star Citizen, you better damn well care about your character because that's an extension of yourself. It's your skills that are manipulating yourself around that world, not just pushing a button and you fire a fireball out.
That goes to one of my main points why I got interested in the game to begin with, Arleeya. We have a whole, there are always exceptions. We have a whole group. Now, I can't really say a generation because we got a lot of younger gamers that are really interested in what we're interested in. We want a hard game that is difficult to progress, that takes a community to succeed. You got a whole group of gamers that want it now. Like, why wait 2 years? Why wait that when you can get these other games? Because I want them right now. There's gamers of a certain age like ourselves who grew up on some of the games that they were a life commitment, which a lot of us no longer have time for that anymore. But we remember that fondly. You got a whole group of gamers that have never had a game like that, ever had a game like that. They grew up on these other games where everything was instant gratification, and it is incomprehensible to this group of people that there's more out there. I think this game is going to bridge that gap where it's going to bring in the people and show them, what a game is like that you get invested in instead of just play it for 30 days and pitch it to the side. So that's what it is for me. It's all community based, guild based, and what you can do succeeding as a group. Any game pretty much anymore, MMOs are solo games that you play alongside a bunch of other people. And we're seeing in a game that Arleeya and I are playing right now that is not doable in that game, and that is refreshing. And I believe Star Citizen is going to be another game to where it's going to take a community effort to succeed instead of just a solo game you're playing alongside a million other people.
Well, that's why the organizations were developed, so that people can
Exactly.
get in and start choosing who they want to work with and to play with.
All right. And I tell you, there's a lot of us who are the first experiences in MMOs were EQ or let's say Ultima Online. Those were hardcore compared to anything coming out these days. If you got hit, ambushed, you could really lose some good stuff and be trying to get it back.
If you didn't get a good group or a good guild to progress with, I mean, you were pretty much dead in the water. I mean, that was just the way it was. And I mean, reputation and your actions were, you were held accountable for stuff like that. And I would really like to see that again. I'm hoping Star Citizen will, will be that next game for me. And that's why I stumbled across it totally on, you know, accident pretty much. I had, I'd of course played the earlier games, but there was a debate going in one of our side forums that I'm a moderator on, and two people were arguing over it. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna research the game and be able to settle this argument for them. And that was a year and a half ago, and now I'm, so many ships deep, 3 ships deep now, and so waiting for those variations on the constellation to come out at this point.
Which we'll have news on later. Alrighty. And I wrote down a few things to me that is why this game is so important to me, why I have to play this game. They weren't originally some as deep as that other stuff, but I was making a list here. The first part, the crowdfunding, ditching a publisher and a guy who's a visionary with all these people that are joining him in on it. I thought that's a really big thing now for these days. It's like someone's self-published and they're doing a great job and everyone wants to back it. Um, and Chris Roberts, the man in charge of this, he worked with Origin, and they made some really great games that pushed the limits of the Commodore 64 when they came out. They had a storyline back when the programming was hard to put in any kind of storyline. And I anticipate that they're going to be trying to push things like that now as well. Fan voting and input, lots of polls. We've helped shape the lore, the history of the Murray Cup. What is the game Sadaball? How is it played? Ship design and game choices. They've thrown all sorts of polls out there, pre-alpha, and let the fans help kind of guide the game. That's something you don't see.
Yeah, that was another thing I have to agree with Thamin on. I mean, being a part of the process is huge.
It's a birthing process. We're seeing it. I mean, in EVE Online, no, you didn't get that. You got to be there from day one and be able to learn all the skills necessary just to pilot a particular ship that you want to go to. That's a grind. This requires your own abilities.
Yeah, the skill-based thing is a big thing too, and it makes it less of a hit too. You do lose your character. You don't lose those skills built up. Your characters are handling your own skills, and you don't have to be though the hotshot dogfighter. A lot of people are loving that, but
That's good.
you know, there's a lot of other parts of this game where you're helping others, or where there are jobs and mini games that aren't directly involved with like the dogfighting and all that. Um, you do have first-person shooter if you want. You can hang out in a friend's hangar or help crew their ship and fire the guns. And the mystery. It said you can end up exploring derelicts in space. Lots of stuff for players to find and do. And when there is new content, it's going to be out there somewhere for a player to discover. A new race, a new jump gate. So, and racing. Racing's turned out to be a big part of the game as well, popular with a lot of people, which is why we get news about the M50 in a moment here. But I want to make sure everyone said their piece about the rest of this.
Yeah, what I'm hearing from both of you guys is the same thing that attracted me to the game to begin with. It appeals to a large section of gamers. The things we're looking for in games. So I mean, us all basically saying different versions of the same thing is very telling.
And we have a question in the live audience here. What kind of death penalties does Star Citizen have? What happens to your stuff if someone blows you up and kills you?
Can someone link Death of a Spaceman? I'm looking for it, but that is
You're
the
trying to get Arleeya in trouble with our bot again, aren't you?
Yeah, I was looking for it, but there's
Also,
actually a great post that he did about Death of a Spaceman that just kind of grabs you. I'm searching.
All right. Your character can and will eventually die. But you're not leveling up the character. Everything in the game is skill based, off the player's skill. They can buy equipment, they can buy items that help out, um, but it's still skill based. Your character can get injured. If they're not ejecting in time, they could wake up in a hospital, and all of a sudden you might have some cosmetic issues you got to fix, the bionic arm and such like that. Uh, your ship, it is possible to lose your ship. Now, there is insurance, and insurance is supposed to be a relatively cheap game mechanic, something to just take a little money out of the economy. And as long as you follow within the rules of your insurance, your ship's going to get replaced if something happens. But you can do events which will maybe you lose a ship and have to earn it back. And that's why there's even jobs if you don't have a ship, jobs flying with someone else, and some of these jobs are player created as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, on the insurance as well, that is something that early backers like myself got lifetime. Now it's a small charge, but that doesn't include, say, you've done massive upgrades to your ship. A lot of the insurance is just hull insurance only. We had another question out here about does the game have open world PvP and pirate stuff? That is actually one of the big sections of the game. I mean, it's a PvP. It's going to be a PvP centered game where if you're out in open space, I mean, you're open game. If you're in, civilized space, there will be you should still be able to attack if you want, but there will be, security forces and stuff and such to protect you. But it's very very heavy PvP element in this game,
Yeah.
which with a space MMO, I mean, to not have a heavy PvP element would take a lot of the fun out of it, for me at least.
One other thing that's in the game is that in most games you have your NPC that's helping you and you're flying along. In this game, you have a co-op, which means, for example, Memo comes online and says, "Hey, how you doing?" I say, "Fine, I'm having a difficult mission." Okay, pops in, and now Memo, a real person, becomes that NPC, takes the NPC's place, and now we're flying together. Then Thamin comes on, and he joins up in the back end of the ship, firing the guns. We're real people playing this game. And then when they log off, the NPCs, they take over.
And they did make it hard where that if I want to join with my ship, unfortunately I have to fly it across the galaxy. But they've made mechanics where I can join him even if I'm like jumping into one of his NPC characters on the ship. So you're able to do that. And yes, the I should mention too there is a PvP slider. So a person can have all sorts of things to affect who they might run into in the universe, whether it is by their friend, guildmates, uh, fellow PvPers, or non-PvPers. But Chris Roberts has also said some of the best stuff is in the most dangerous parts of the galaxy. So
As it
some
should be.
parts of the galaxy, it's going to be PvP.
Damon, have they ever clarified exactly on the PvP slider? I know they've been talking about that, and they've discussed it, but it's been kind of vague on the exact, what that, it's obviously a difficulty or level on it, but have they ever really put anything out saying this is what it means? This is what the high slider means. This is what medium means. This is what low means. Have they ever put anything out that
Well, they
descriptive?
haven't
Because I have
said.
I haven't found anything.
Yeah, so we don't know necessarily the width of this slider, and only knowing that there are other elements that you can add to it too, how much you might want to run into certain other people with interests, it's kind of hard to say where that bar is going to be also. We're still outnumbered by the NPCs in this game, so,
Yeah, but you're
but
not going to know when you go head to head with someone whether it's an NPC or a live player. They said they've made that to where it's kind of seamless between NPCs and players. Which, as much gameplay as we've got to see now is with the dogfighting module, which I am terrible at, but it is absolutely gorgeous. I just recently got invited to the multiplayer dogfighter, which is even harder, but still as gorgeous. But it's the first looks at the game and what's coming have been for me very satisfying. I just wish I was younger and more hand-eye coordination left.
And I'm taking this opportunity to show folks too. I do have another video out there on Grievance Gaming. If you go YouTube, Grievance Gaming, you'll see this one. It was uploaded just a few days ago too, where I tried out the 12.5 patch in a Hornet, did some dogfighting. It was enjoyable. There was still some glitches at the start, but there was a lot of times I was either nose to nose with somebody or even a few head-on collisions. So it did get pretty exciting. And
Are you
oh,
are
go
you
ahead.
using mouse and keyboard still, or have you switched to the joystick?
In this one, I was using the mouse and keyboard. That's right. I did forget to mention that, but mouse and keyboard, and they are both do have their benefits to their respective owners. Neither is king of the ring at this point. They both have their pluses and minuses depending on how you like to fly.
I try not to hit stuff. That's about as far as it goes with flying. But there is a learning curve with this, and I've tried it with both the joystick and the mouse and keyboard. And you're right, Damon. They both have their advantages and drawbacks. Because at least with the joystick, you have some leeway on movement, but all of your keys, buttons, and all that are centrally located instead of being spread across the keyboard. But some of the sensitivity you get with the mouse is, lacking. So it's kind of a mixed bag there for me, anyways.
Yeah, and one thing I did like about this is before 12.5. Now, an Origin owner wouldn't like this. The Origins were overpowered, the amount of power they put in through, because if you're constantly firing your guns, it's going to drain on your shields and that too. On this one part where I go head to head this guy, I'm about to get creamed to the point where I have no ship behind the cockpit. But and this game too is your skill comes into play as well because like I say, it isn't just like you hit a ship and there's some random calculation that you might have hit a critical junction. If you're a good enough pilot, you can shoot the guns off an opponent's ship or things like that. I mean, in this case, the reason my ship ended up so bad, I lost everything beside, outside the cockpit. I couldn't maneuver anything, so it's time to hit the eject.
Nice. You're just kind of spinning in a big circle at this point,
Yeah. And
and now
this was a
you're
pretty fun
floating.
match. But yeah, they finally made the Hornet where it used to be where if I even fire near a second, I start losing all my shields. So not good. But they fixed that. There's one of my head-on collisions again.
I keep meaning to spend more time in the dogfighting simulator, but I limited game time, and it is what it is for me. I'm ready for. Well, they just recently put out the next part to the multiplayer, didn't they? What was that?
Yes, core.
Core?
Yep, we
I have
got
not
that
got
here.
into that
We're
one yet.
talking about that one. Capture the Core is now
Capture the core.
available. Capture the flag version of things. So you can a few things. It's very similar to other games. Capture the flag tactics. You have a core, the enemy team has a core, and your objective is to fly through it to pick it up and bring it back to your own. You cannot capture if your own core is stolen. Once a core is dropped in space, it stays in space for 30 seconds unless either a new, thief picks it up or one of the defending teams hits it and is able to return it. It did say also the game is limited to 5 captures or 20 minutes.
Pretty standard capture the flag for PvP.
And that's fun. It looked like when I was selecting game modes here, it looked like there were 5 game modes to choose from. It used to be only Battle Royale, which is everyone for themselves, and a team-based one. I don't think there was anything beyond that, so I really need to get in there and take another look at it.
We got a question from Lumavox here about what do we expect to see on Gamescom.
Um,
There is no telling, man. What do you guys think?
I think they're going to show something for the first-person shooter.
That would be awesome. That is another aspect of this game that I was, really excited that, they were including because while I'm decent at first person shooters, I do really enjoy them, and anything that encourages you to play in a team or group,
What
I'm down for.
What do you think? Since we have the posters on the constellation
Yeah, I'll
variants,
show those. We have the posters and the names. We should find out. It sounds like the Gamescon is where we're going to actually find out about the variants.
yeah,
So,
Yeah,
but let me go
this is something
ahead
I've been
and
waiting for as my big ship as a constellation. We won't talk. We won't get into Arleeya's ship. We don't have that much more time left, I don't believe.
so the Taurus, the Andromeda, the Aquila, and the Phoenix. And I'm going to go in here and see if I can mess with this, stretch it out a little bit here so folks can see a little better because was actually a huge.
No stats though, right? Yet.
Right, we don't know anything about what sets these apart from each other.
I assume they're going to be cargo, gunship, speed, and the standard stuff they've done with the others. But the stats here are going to make all the difference.
the Andromeda looks like it's heavily armed,
Yeah, you can tell it has cannons
and
on top.
and I think the Phoenix is going to be your, um, well, get close to the
Speed.
action.
I don't know. That looks heavily armored.
Mm-hmm. I think the go up. Oh, can we go up on it to
Oh,
the
which.
Andromeda?
Yep, hang on. Here, let me pull it down. We're and that's up now. Probably a little delayed before you guys see it. Um, but definitely, yeah, that Phoenix was the most colorful, kind of outstanding of them.
Looks heavily armored,
Yeah.
and the Andromeda
Taurus.
looks pretty well armed as well.
I am noticing something on the Andromeda. Behind the what is normally the thinnest part of the ship, like compared to the one above it, behind the gun turrets off to the side, it just looks
More
like a little something
storage,
extra.
Exploration.
and for the the one on top, I can't see the name. Is that the Taurus on top?
The
Yep.
bull.
That looks like it has expanded storage as well, because it widens out. It looks a little wider going all the way down. I don't know. I'm really interested in the stats in these. This is one of the ships I've had since the beginning and have held on to, and I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing what they come out with.
Lumavox is also guessing that the Taurus seems to be the trading variant.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It looks wider bodied and looks less armed.
Well, you think the names stand for like Taurus for trading, Andromeda, A for armored, or Aquila for armored or something, and Phoenix for.
We have a question on you able to land on planets, moons, or asteroids. There is actually an asteroid hangar in the game where where your ship, where your home base is actually a ship hangar in an asteroid.
Um,
So yeah, that's completely possible.
in Arena Commander, you can get behind
Yeah.
an asteroid. You turn on your lights. You get really close to it. You could probably land on it. Presently, what they do not have is from planet into space transition and reverse. So it'll be like a cutscene. But eventually, they're
Yeah.
going to get that in.
Yeah, they've discussed it, but the asteroid hangar was a stretch goal, correct?
Yes.
And that is epic. They've put out pictures of that. That's gonna be I don't know anybody who doesn't want an asteroid hangar. Although what you would need 10, 12, 13 of those, Arleeya?
Uh, I just need all the rocks moved out of the way.
Yeah, I always got a harp on Arleeya because he has every ship except the one I want.
Okay. The other thing I'm showing up briefly here, and the quality did not show up as well on my computer, so that what you're seeing on the video here isn't quite as good as the poster, but this is about the 2944 Murray Cup, this year's Murray Cup. So that's one of the other posters, aside from those constellation variants, that we are getting free. They are putting 1,000 UEC in your bank, and that's enough to basically buy a free poster.
But act now, you can buy both of them.
Yeah, the racing is not something that I understand why it's there, but it's not something that I really liked. For me, the new ship they put out, it basically looks like a Formula One car with no wheels and wings. I mean, you can really see the inspiration there on the 50. Got a comment from Lunavox about, for me, the Taurus is trading, Andromeda exploration, Aquila military, and the Phoenix racing. Yeah, I can definitely see that from the pictures as well. I cannot wait to see the stats on them because they've been talking about those and the commercials for the Constellation for a good while now. But yeah, to me that looks just like a Formula One with wheels and wings. I mean, look at it from the top. It's
We're
got the
going to be
And
able
I'm
spoiler.
showing the M50 now because that one helped push them over the latest stretch goal right there.
mhm. We're going to be able to color our own ships, though, to have our different like racing stripes or whatever we want to do. It's going to be part of the package. They just need to work on that.
Okay, I also got the question. I wonder how giving out all these ships to founders packages are going to affect the free-to-play economy. Um, well, the game itself, yeah, the fact that the game itself is going to be free to play, so they have been trying to throw a lot of stuff out there to earn money, and I know that's going to be a long-term earn money as well. Once the game launches, it's supposedly any ships that are out there that you can buy are going to be more expensive than you would find them in game. And I know they're trying to put tools in the game so that if you're trying to sell to another player or something like that, there's taxes involved to also kind of help cut down on the gold sellers trying stuff like that too. And I guess we'll have to see how that works,
Yeah,
but
it's always a concern in any game that has pre-buy packages and it's going to be free to play. It's one of those things that we're going to have to wait to see how it pans out because this is a concern in every game we've ever been in that's free to play. You know, you have these packages, and with this game, it's a lot of these are rewards for backing. I mean, you're getting this because you believed in the game and you backed it. So, but as far as what effect it's going to have, I mean, that's a question that's been around as long as there's been packages and free to play games, and we'll have to see what kind of impact it has. I
okay.
would guess they're going to make it as fair as possible because you don't want to discourage a large player base from buying into game with free to play. Because I know some of the most expensive games I've ever played in my life are free to play games, and I spend more money on some of them with your microtransactions and whatnot than a game that I paid $150 for the collector's edition. So time will tell on that.
Yeah, I know they have to do a few guildmates and Rift too. Some of the little things that added up.
For
Um,
me, it was Neverwinter. I basically had to stop playing Neverwinter because it's just it just slips through your fingers, and you see the bill at the end of the month, and you're like, I spent what on a game? Insane.
Ah, Wilfrey, 73D says they're going to be at the Gamescom, and he's asking us what we think they're going to do.
I can't wait to see because it's they have they kind of center around these big events for interesting announcements and new video footage and info. So I can only guess the constellations. I mean, we might see some of those new commercials that they've been talking about putting out for the various ships. That
that would
would
be
be a
great.
great place to introduce those.
Do you think they're going to have a
Um,
sale?
that almost seems mandatory by now. But, if they
Yeah,
do the
yeah,
constellation, there'll probably be a sale on that.
yeah. With a added variant, they'll do a sale on that, and then
Don't
upgrades for the
forget,
various variants.
they've also been mentioning a game mode that they have not announced, and some called New Horizons. So these are some things that I assume we're going to hear something they've been hitting at, and that's the only thing I can think of. We're due for a reveal.
Yeah, that would be nice. We always hope with these that we're gonna get a see something. Wilford 73D says he'll be there. Well, you lucky dog, man. That's awesome.
You have a
And
good time.
Lumavox talking about how you get a reward for backing the game. And that's exactly what I was hitting on
Yeah.
with the free to play.
But again, everything is very skill based, so We'll see how things go. Even a lot of the early ships, certain ones, a Hornet is definitely supposed to be a better dogfighter than Aurora. Although I can tell you, an Aurora has a lot more functions it can fulfill compared to a Hornet. You're not going to be a cargo hauler with a Hornet and stuff like that. So there's a lot of variety being built into certain ships, certain roles. Oh, and they did say, we covered this a little while back in the economy, that although it is the players can help drive the economy, uh, a good percentage of it is still automatic and NPCs in the game. So it still gets to only a point of what the players can do, even if like a bunch of people were trying to buy up credits or something like that.
Well, on the one hand, that's good because it will keep anyone from, wrecking the economy or tilting it. And on the other hand, I mean, you have to balance it. It has to be balanced there because you don't want it too NPC controlled. But if a player has an ability to tip the economy, that is also bad. Dominating the economy is one thing, but being able to, you know, tilt it, upend it is not good for any game, as we've seen in other games.
All right. Wanted to get on to another part. We did have a good part of the show, like covering some basics and how we loved it. And we're going to get to one of our next announcements here. It was we did pass the $49 million stretch goal, so that means everyone gets the Xeon space plant.
I've been waiting for that plant because I mean I think we talked about this a while back. You know, I now have the plant that bloom. Was it the one that blooms like once every 100 years?
One
Or?
night every 100 years.
Yeah.
And this goes out to Whoop. Feed me.
Nice.
He's got one of those in his house doing that right now. Feed me, little one. Now they announced, for this is another reason why I must play this game. $51 million. What they're asking for is a vote in their production schedule. They're asking the fans, what do you want to take priority? And the choices are, there's two different organization options, organization drops. One of them being divisions, jobs, and the 3D organizations browser. Another one being private forums for each Star Citizen organization. But there's also Galactopedia, your guide to the Star Citizen universe. Web scoreboards, so you can see how you stack against others in Arena Commander. And a known universe map, an interactive map of Star Citizen's known universe. So right now you can
Very
get out
cool.
there and vote which one you prefer.
I'm thinking known universe map. That just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's sitting at 54% of the vote right now.
I don't know that I want to see my history in Arena Commander.
Yeah, that's what I
I'd
thought.
rather
Oh, sorry.
I'd rather just that be history. Go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah,
Sammy.
Galactopedia and the known universe map, they're definitely up there. Night Skies is saying, is it really special if every backer gets one? Well, true, but at this point, only every backer currently in Star Citizen gets one.
Everybody that comes in after doesn't get it. So if you come in tomorrow as a backer, you're not getting it. And down the road when the game launches and free to play, these will be, interesting, unique items. But it's a
I
way to
think
continue as the game grows and more investors come in. It's a small way to continue to reward people as that backed early on. It's I think it's kind of nice. Not very interested in the whole plant thing. I like the towel we got a while back a little better, but it's something to continually reward people who believe in the game.
the Galactopedia and the known universe map, even though they're stretch goals, will be available for everyone because we're going to be able to see where we're going. And the Galactopedia will, of course, explain what we find and what does get found by players, which will be added in there. And of course, those players will probably be credited to it.
All right, I was going to go just run a little video bit here too. They were doing a sneak peek at the updated business hangar, which I also had a glance at when I was last in doing the dogfighter. They darkened the business hangar. It was like really bright white. I did notice still a few bugs. A lot of ships sitting on their tail fins, noses in the air. There's a 300. Kind of looks like it's humping a hornet, which is a lot like some of my dogfighting experiences, pre 12.5, anyways.
We've heard that, Thamin.
And then I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit. They just had a little video entertaining
This is
showing off
someone
some little
riding
bugs for
around
the
in
week.
the hangar buggy as well there. Yeah, that's an interesting shot.
So somebody was drunk when they parked that ship, huh?
Yeah, it looks like it. They had some bugs here where they were having some fun with the buggies too and doing some weird stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
And let's see, I'm just going to go a bit with, let's see, some of the news we had from it. Concept work has started on a Xeon cargo ship, which Mark Skelton called a big sucker. And work started on the Mustang variants.
Yeah, interested in seeing those as well, because that was a nice addition to the Aurora as a starter ship. I thought, because the Aurora really just didn't do it for me. So, and I kind of like the Mustang.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, can this plant be gotten by free-to-play people? It did say everything you can get in the game now, you can get in the game once the game goes live. It, typically might be more expensive or something, but all of this stuff you can work toward in the game. That's another thing Chris Roberts wanted to do to try to avoid the whole free-to-play scenario. He's like, you can buy this stuff, but you can work for it in the game as well. Um,
96 asked. Sorry,
That's pretty.
96 asked a question about each planet having its own life cycles. They're going to have day and night cycles, which will be different. Then you'll have places to run around on the planets and do stuff at. But right at the beginning, it's going to be a central area. You're not going to be able to go like across a continent or anything.
right. They are eventually down the line going to get some. Now I'm trying to think of it. It's I'm trying to think of the name of it. That generates the planet, and then you can go explore. Right now, they said though if it's they don't have that, and if it's too much space, it needs to be filled with something. But it does sound like it's something that's kind of in the works, as well as hopefully us seeing something more than just a transition screen going on to a planet. But we won't have that at release. I think life cycles were kind of maybe for the future, but that's also something we probably won't necessarily see at release. Um, let's see. Oh, I'll address this one because apparently there's still a lot of confusion over the max crew. Freelancer max crew is 2 people, but you go in there, you see 4 bunks, room and 4 seats. Uh, Chris Roberts said, max crew is the number of functional seats, turrets, pilots, not simply the bed space or the transport space.
So you could stack people in there like cordwood if you wanted to. Just only 2 of them will be doing something.
Yep. They'll just rotate through the active seats. Which is important for some of those ships. They are long-range ships. They also started a new feature, Developer Dogfight. So it's just kind of interesting to watch a few of them duking it out between themselves. And let's see, an economy question was asked for 10 for the chairman about an economy module or the economy module board game to test out. Chris Roberts says that we've shown they do have a type of board game that they use behind the scenes to plan things out.
Yeah.
He says on their side they'll see the economy running in simulation and keep tabs on what's happening, but whether it will be a public module, his guess is probably not. And somebody asked about long-term UEE service. Well, Chris Roberts does say that Squadron 42, which we got new reviewers all the time, that's a single-player experience, a single-player game that will come out before the persistent universe. It does have you muster out at the end of the game, but he does go on to say there will be future expansions or downloads similar to Squadron 42. that will offer gameplay options. Possibly they may include ad hoc missions offered by the military. Sorry, I went off track. There will be missions in the persistent universe that might be offered out by the military. I did hear in the past some point too where it sounds like you might have career choices that are military related as well. So we'll have to see how that fits in. Sorry, just reading some of that. Reading some of what we had in the live chat. Again, folks, live show every other Saturday. August 9th today. Our next show is going to be August 23rd.
And
Go
we'll
ahead.
have Gamescom coverage.
Yes.
We'll have to have Wildfire come back and tell us what's going on.
Exactly.
Let's see. A few other things. I'll try to go through them kind of quickly since we've been running a while here. But
Yeah, we are hitting our time limit, aren't we?
yeah, you can hire players to fly your ships. You may not be able to rent a ship out. It's also stuff that they're still necessarily trying to work on the mechanics of it too. Because of course, once they said that, everyone was asking, "What if they do this or that with your ship?" And he's like, "We got to work on that yet."
Yeah, that's one of the things that was exciting to me about the game. Going back to our first thought, with the Constellation, I have a lot of options for multiplayer. So
And here's a good one for, again, we had a few folks here interested in the PvP side of things in the live chat tonight. With spying and hacking, if a citizen wants to try acquiring a new identity, haircut, etc., Chris Roberts says there will be a whole setup designed to redo the facial appearance and will even appear early in Squadron 42. Also, there will be some of these options for reconstructive surgery post-accident. And also on Outlaw Planets, you can try to go off the grid, but it won't be cheap.
Yeah, those back dark alleys.
And I'm just see, and I'm just trying to run down a few things here since we're getting just kind of close to the end. The design is updating the Bengal carrier. We're working on bringing it up to the current standards. I'm sure they had a lot of changes after, like I say, they were making the Idris and such. They're trying to get a more robust mission generation than go here, kill enemies, then come back. We all want that. We may see the Gladius in the hangar sooner rather than later. The animations are complete on it. And there are several other ship models that are complete but require more time to get hangar ready. They've also introduced plane cards. So now there's plane cards where the decks, show ships on them and that too that they're offering out.
nice.
Let's see. And they again reiterated there will be wear and tear visible on the ship. Part of it is between clean ships and when they're super dirty, you'll get scratches appearing. You might have damage taken over time, and you might have window fog in the cockpit. And it's just something they have to balance the textures so that they're not hogging too much PC memory. Alright, let me throw up two. I'm going to grab one more thing here. We had a sneak peek at the Caterpillar, and part of the Caterpillar actually detaches. So let me pull that up here.
We
Just
have
don't
a
push that red
detachable
button.
caterpillar. Yeah, don't push that red button. How many caterpillars do we have, Arleeya, for the guild?
More than one. We have
Alright,
presently 44 members in our organization.
Yeah, we have a very, not to focus on grievance so much, but we have a very impressive fleet going already. And by we, I mean Arleeya.
Alright. So that was enough of that. Yeah, we have an organization. You can see it, grievancegaming.org. Kind of throw that up in the chat here. Uh, and apply on our forums at that site, and then we work on getting you on the site that's on Star Citizen. We're a multi-gaming guild playing a lot of games, so we had quite a bit of organization to our organization before Star Citizen came out. But love to
Yes.
check y'all out. We've got our previous episodes of this. If you go on YouTube, look up Grievance Gaming, the playlist, there is a Star Citizen channel with this show.
And if you're playing anything else right now, expectantly waiting for this game to come out, there's a chance that Grievance is most likely playing it as well. So come meet people who you'll be playing Star Citizen with. Also, we had, what was that? Oh, Lumavox on the last 10 for the chairman. There's a question about World War II battleships like the Yamato, and Robert's saying if they'll have ships that dwarf that. Well, I would expect so. I mean, the scale of that, I don't know that those will be player-based ships because I think they've kind of went away from that, but they will be in the persistent universe, correct? And that is just awesome.
Well, when they talk about the larger ship being larger than the Bengal carrier, that's where. Then also, don't
Yeah.
forget the Vondel ship, the big one that they have.
See, you're a Keto in channel there, our Rift guild leader. He'd love for you to come over and play Rift with him.
Which is free to play and available until Star Citizen gets ready. Alright, I did find, because people were asking about Gamescom, they've confirmed 2 more modes for Arena Commander, which will be shown at Gamescom.
Yeah, that's good news. Can't wait to hear, what comes out of Gamescom. Anytime these come up, there seems to be a lull in what we're getting, and then hopefully we'll get some. I'm hoping for some Constellation variants, some specs on those, maybe some video. I'm rather invested in that. I think I talked about that for the last 3 or 4 casts in a row, so I'll stop there.
Alrighty. Well, I think we're going to have to call it here. We are going to be broadcasting again 6 p.m. Standard or Central Time at August 23rd, right here on the twitch.tv/grievance. And we got our episodes up on YouTube as well. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us in the live stream and everyone that joined us on YouTube. We love your likes and shares as well. And looking forward to joining everybody in Star Citizen. All right. See you all later, folks.
Yep. Thank you, folks.
Be safe. Take care. See you in the verse.